Chapter 585, we learn that Luffy has a secret dream that the author is hiding from us. Chapter 966, the author heavily implies that Roger's dream is the same exact dream as Luffy's. Chapter 1060, the author hides Luffy's secret dream yet again for the second time. What is Oda building up to? What is he foreshadowing? What is he trying to portray to the reader? What I'm about to tell you is going to recontextualize all of One Piece, and you're never going to look at the story the same ever again. Do you know why Odin called the dream childish? Do you know why Usopp called the dream impossible? Do you know why Nami said these dreams sound just like Luffy? All of these reactions sparked because Luffy and Roger's true dream is to create a pirate country, Kaizoku Kuni. But before we jump into that, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to never miss the sickest One Piece theory videos on all of YouTube. Chapter 585, Luffy tells his dream to Sabo and Ace, and it's off-screened. Ever since this moment, little by little, Oda has been building upon this plotline. What is Luffy's dream? When we see the reaction of Ace and Sabo, they both call it childish and they basically say it's impossible. It's interesting to see them shoot it down considering that they're pretty close to Luffy at this point. You would think they would be supportive. Clearly, this dream must be very impossible and it must sound childish. It's something a child would say. But fast forward after Luffy tells Ace and Sabo his dream, we see Luffy made his own country. Now, I find it interesting that this is something that Luffy really wanted to do. You had Dadan come up, they had a whole exchange, and Luffy's talking about defending his friends and defending himself. He needs to be stronger. Like, again, I find it to be alarming. How are you gonna have Luffy talk about this secret hidden true dream and then soon after show us this? Chapter 966, we see Roger tell Odin and Whitebeard his dream, and it's an exact parallel of Luffy's situation. If you put them side by side, you can even see that the panel layout is the exact same. And it is pretty interesting when you think about how Shanks told Rayleigh Luffy said the same thing as Roger. Clearly what Shanks is saying is that Luffy's true dream is the same thing as Roger's true dream. And if we think about what we do know about Roger, we know he wanted to circumnavigate the globe. Roger basically wanted to become the Pirate King, but this was before the title was even made. But the interesting thing is when he was explaining this dream to Odin and Whitebeard, Roger made it seem like you have to become Pirate King first before this dream. Like literally right before. Like I think these two things are interconnected. You have the Pirate King and then you would have something that fits that role. It wouldn't be something like running and owning a McDonald's because becoming the Pirate King has nothing to do with running a McDonald's. And Roger portrayed the system as if you had to become Pirate King first. Now when we visit the reaction Odin and Whitebeard had, it's the same exact reaction as Ace and Sabo. Again, because Roger and Luffy have the same dream. And whatever this dream is, it sounds like it's childish. It's something a kid would say. But not only that, it sounds impossible. And you even have Whitebeard asking Roger if he's a little boy. Again, this is comparing it to Luffy and his dream because Luffy said it as a little boy as well. Clearly, whatever this dream is it's something childish. And when you think about little kids in One Piece, such as Luffy and whoever this kid was at Elbaf, you can tell that these kids are influenced by pirates. It's almost as if being a pirate is like being a superhero. All these kids look up to being a pirate. So if you had the idea of having your own pirate country, a country where every pirate in the world comes together, that does sound pretty childish. First of all, we know that the Marines are heavily invested in tackling pirates. We know that there's a bounty system and they try to capture and kill people as much as they can. The Marines and the world government would never allow a pirate country to exist. That's exactly why Blackbeard is requesting one and he's getting turned down. Now, if we put this into context, we're basically saying that Roger wanted to become the Pirate King in order to then have his own pirate country. I think by Roger getting an illness and probably not having the Nika fruit, that was the main reason why Roger couldn't complete his dream. The important thing to note in that regard is Blackbeard said that dreams never die. If there was a circumstance in a situation where Joyboy had a dream, I believe that dream never died and it eventually made its way to not only Roger, but Luffy as well. So when Shanks sees Luffy saying the same dream that Roger said, Shanks is clearly co-signing Luffy and he believes in Luffy. But to the outside world, everyone outside of this context, having a pirate country sounds childish. If you place it into the context, it's very clear. This is something that a child would say and it's something that the Marines would never allow. Chapter 1060, Luffy mentions the dream for a second time to the Straw Hats. Usopp was one of the first people to say something and he says that Luffy's dream is impossible. Now this is a key detail. This is alarming because the Straw Hats and someone like Usopp has seen Luffy win time and time again. Luffy and the Straw Hats have been through near-death situations. Luffy has completed the impossible. So if Luffy has a dream and he tells Usopp what it is and Usopp says it's impossible, he doesn't believe it's gonna happen, it must really be wild. It must be something that's like physically impossible. Like if I told you my true dream was putting my hand through a wall without destroying any kind of matter, you would say it's impossible. You would think it's fundamentally not gonna work. Comparing this to something like having a pirate country, which is what Blackbeard wants to do, the Marines would never allow this, especially the world government. Moving on, Luffy pretty much says that his dream is only possible if he's Pirate King. Again, this is a clue that becoming Pirate King is directly connected to this dream. It's not something random and you have to be Pirate King specifically, which is why it seems like Roger and Luffy's true dream is having a pirate country. Like, it all makes sense. The Pirate King is the man with all the wealth, fame, and power. If he was to tell the world he's making his own pirate country, it would outweigh the world government. In general, the One Piece world is already divided. Like, there's no islands near each other. The red line makes travel impossible. You have all these wild hurricanes, all these wild currents. The One Piece world is completely divided. So if you had a character like Joyboy or a character like Luffy and they had their own pirate country, that would change the entire dynamic to the story of One Piece. And this is because the Celestial Dragons and Emu have banned freedom for the past 800 years. Like, even when Big Mom and Kaido, two pirates that finally got together to create a huge nation, it didn't even last long. So what if it's Luffy, the same kid that wanted to create a pirate country just like Blackbeard? What if it's this kid who ends up having his own pirate country? And Luffy will be the pirate king of that pirate country because he's going to be the strongest man there to defend his friends. Furthermore, Nami even says that Luffy's dream sounds just like Luffy. So let's put this into context. If there's two things Luffy's obsessed with, it's meat and becoming Pirate King. He's either eating after great big battles or he's telling everyone he's going to be the next Pirate King. So if Luffy was to tell Nami, hey, my dream is to make a pirate country, Nami would respond by saying, yeah, that sounds just like you because last time I checked, you wanted to be a Pirate King, right? So why wouldn't you want to have a pirate country? Matter of fact, having this whole pirate country and you being the Pirate King, it sounds childish. I mean, after all, One Piece readers did see Luffy try to make his own pirate country in the past. So when One Piece fans finally see Luffy's true dream to be the king of a pirate country, we will remember how Dadan had that moment where Luffy made his own country. Now, all of that information was basically chapter 1060, but I have a question. What if we add 20 chapters to 1060? What do we get if we go to chapter 1080? Well, this was a chapter that Garp finally enters Hachinosu and we get all this Blackbeard dialogue on the pirate island. This was the chapter that Blackbeard says he wants to turn this pirate island into a country, a pirate country. Now, doesn't this sound familiar to you guys? It's surprising to see this go from Blackbeard when we know for a fact he's a foil character to Luffy. They're both Worst Generation members. They're both Yonko. They were both at Marineford. They were both at Impel Down. They were both at Jaya. One loves cherry pies, one hates cherry pies. One loves orange cola, one hates orange cola. So keep in mind, it is Blackbeard that wants to make a pirate country, the foil character to Luffy. But moving back to Blackbeard, when he states this dream, Kobe then downplays it. He basically says it's impossible because the world government would never allow it. And in Blackbeard's response, he says to not crush people's dreams. Dreams? Blackbeard's openly telling the world that his dream is to make a pirate country. So when you reflect on Blackbeard having his own era and wanting to become a pirate king, it all makes sense. Blackbeard wants to be the pirate king of his own pirate country, just like Luffy. I expect Luffy to have a free country like America who punishes criminals, while Blackbeard has a free country that doesn't punish the criminals. So that basically has Blackbeard and Luffy positioned on opposite sides of the same coin as foil characters. And I suspect that Joyboy was probably the first pirate king and he led a country that dominated the planet, Kaizoku Kuni, also known as the pirate country. It would be super thematic that way. Luffy's true dream should align with Joyboy's true dream, considering that Luffy carried on the will of Joyboy. Now, when we reflect on the dialogue from the Gorosei, we know that the Nika fruit is a Zoan. Another thing we know about Zoans is they have a will of their own. So since Luffy's fruit is a Zoan, it's clearly alluding that Luffy's devil fruit chose him. And the reason it chose him is because he has the same will and dream as Joyboy. So to summarize everything so far, it basically seems like Luffy, Blackbeard, and Joyboy all had the same dream. They all wanted to have a pirate country. And in order to do this and to start a pirate country, you have to be the most free man in the world, the Pirate King. When we place this into context, we know that Luffy says he wants to be a pirate because he wants to be a free man. And when Luffy says he wants to be the Pirate King, he wants to be the most free man. So if Luffy wanted to create a pirate country, he'd basically be wanting to create a free country. And this would make sense regarding Luffy's ideals and values. All throughout the story, he is liberating and saving countries. Think about how in Wano, Luffy fed all those hundreds of people that he didn't even know. Luffy would definitely strike me as the kind of guy who would have his own pirate country full of free people. And you know what else is a free country? North America, who is represented by none other than the Statue of Liberty. And I bet this is ringing some bells in your guys' head, but if not, prepare to be mind blown. In chapter 1044, we learn the truth behind Luffy's fruit and role in the story of One Piece. That chapter was titled The Warrior of Liberation. Keep in mind, Luffy is the Warrior of Liberation, so so I guess that would make Luffy the warrior of liberty. If Luffy is the embodiment and the idea of liberty, that would explain why he saves every single country he interacts with. Let's take a second to shift our focus and look at Thriller Bark for 1 second. When Kuma was first introduced, fans noticed he was holding a Bible, and this seems to feature a woman with the theme of the sun, and it even has a Celtic cross on it, not to be confused with Kuma's logo. Comparing that woman to the Statue of Liberty, it is strikingly similar, but we need to take into account the text on the book. It says Bible. The Statue of Liberty in One Piece is on the Bible? I suspect this to be highly related to the ancient kingdom and whatever Nika had going on, and it's unclear if the world government even knows Kuma owns this book. For all we know, they probably don't even care about what books he reads, because why would they? Furthermore, it is on several occasions that Luffy has said he wants a statue of himself. In chapter 303, Luffy says he's buying a bronze statue. In chapter 323, Luffy again says he wants a bronze statue. In chapter 704, Luffy says he wants the Kiro statue for himself. And even in Reverse Mountain, Luffy was seen multiple occasions trying to build a snowman. Or in other words, Luffy really wanted a statue. At this point, it should be very clear to the reader. Oda wants the reader to know that Luffy wants a statue of himself. And seeing how Oda dedicated panels and times to express this, it must matter and it must come true at some point. And if that were to come true, then we have the answer. If Luffy is the warrior of liberation and there was a statue based off Luffy, that statue would be the Statue of Liberation. Is this all making sense now? The warrior of liberation wants a statue of himself. The warrior of liberty wants a statue of himself. Liberty wants a statue of himself. Liberty statue, Statue of Liberty. The depiction of Joyboy and Nika. This is going to be definitive proof that there was an ancient kingdom that was erased and it was led by the pirate king Joyboy. It was a pirate country. And the reason why Joyboy and Luffy have to be the pirate king, the reason why they want to do so is because every pirate country needs its pirate king. And another interesting thing regarding the Statue of Liberty is we know that in real life it's made out of copper. And when it comes to bronze alloy, you need copper in order to craft that. So in other words, you need copper to make bronze. I suspect this relates to how Luffy says he needs a bronze statue specifically when it comes to a statue of himself. So it's an interesting contrast to see how the Statue of Liberty is made out of copper while the Statue of Liberation is going to be made out of bronze.
Thanks for inviting me on the channel, and let me start off by saying I co-signed the entire video because one of my favorite theories for the longest time has been that Luffy's dream is a kingdom of pirates. And so adding on to what you said about the Statue of Liberty, we could take a look at what Luffy's dream kingdom would look like, and that is Libertalia. Libertalia is a pirate legend, a place that is said to have existed but's never been confirmed. A place of piracy that did not tolerate slavery and valued liberty and freedom as their core values. With Luffy's freedom being liberation, as he's the most pirate character, it makes sense. His dreams would be a pirate kingdom full of adventures and fights. If we look back at Skypiea, we can see how happy and excited Luffy is just by the mere thought of a grand adventure. Imagine a land so grand and wide that Luffy and other pirates could endlessly explore. It makes sense that Roger would also love this era of Joyboy and wish to live in this era because he would love to see what Luffy could one day create, but also what this kingdom looked like in the previous era of Joyboy as well. And with Blackbeard and Luffy both racing to become the pirate king, every king needs his kingdom, a pirate kingdom that does not exist yet. It would also just be so fitting for One Piece, the story that's all about pirates, to have something like this during the Void Century. And once Luffy becomes king, which is connecting into the whole point of why I love One Piece in the first place, which is the core aspect that it's all about pirates. With Blackbeard and Luffy being both two sides of the same coin, similar yet so different, it makes sense that Blackbeard would want to cheese his way into creating a pirate kingdom. He does things in a truly evil pirate way, and so of course he would do the same thing with his greatest ambition and dream. And Oda having Blackbeard say "don't crush my dreams" when referring to him creating Hachinosu into the Blackbeard Kingdom and to his Blackbeard Pirate Kingdom in chapter 1080 is so much more important than we realize, since Blackbeard has always been the one talking about dreams, ambitions, and goals. He is someone who knows what he wants and does whatever it takes to achieve what seems impossible. Blackbeard was introduced in Jaya telling Luffy to achieve the impossible as well, so it makes sense that Blackbeard pushes back when they deny his dream, as they call it impossible in chapter 1080. And in the very next chapter, we have Blackbeard once again telling Kuzan what makes a pirate is specifically their agendas, in other words, their dreams, ambitions, and goals. Blackbeard calls Hachinosu a pirate paradise, but remember how Shanks spoke of Teach's endless ambition to Whitebeard, so Teach won't stop simply at making this one island a pirate kingdom under the world government. The ancient kingdom was said to be an enormous kingdom, so I believe that Blackbeard's ultimate goal is to conquer the entire world, go for the throne, and become king of the world and the entire world government as as a whole. If we think about how Luffy parallels Roger's dreams as the freest man on the sea, maybe Blackbeard parallels Zebek, as it was said that he too wanted to conquer the world and become king. Another interesting detail comes from Doflamingo's speech in Marineford, where he talks about the swapping of power. Doflamingo says, "Pirates are evil, Marines are righteous. Those who stand at the top are the ones who determine what's right." Now imagine what insanity Blackbeard would determine is right if he conquered the entire world. Blackbeard standing at the top would cause nothing but destruction to the current system, represented through his Gura Nomi, and he would also ultimately bring chaos and anarchy, with him ruling at the very top, which is represented through the Yami Nomi. In a world where pirates are deemed evil, Blackbeard or Luffy, and maybe even both, will be the pillars who turn the world upside down. Blackbeard, through evil force and power, would begin an era praising pirates. Going back to the ancient kingdom, Clover says that if the world knew the mere idea of this enormous kingdom's existence and what it stands for, it would shake the world at its core. And with pirates being deemed evil, after Roger announced the One Piece, what could shake the world more than finding out there was once a powerful, enormous kingdom of pirates that once rivaled the world government? And the biggest reason why the world government has to keep this ancient pirate kingdom under wraps would be because if words and rumors got out of its existence, the craziest, most insane, and ambitious pirates would be the ones searching for it, just like with Skypiea and the One Piece. Having this announced to the entire world would make people question everything, and specifically they don't want pirates searching for this ancient kingdom. And if you think about a pirate kingdom, of course you would think gold and treasures and adventures. Pirates all around the world would want to see what this place holds, and so of course they would search for it. So by the end of One Piece, I think Luffy versus Blackbeard will be a battle for the top, and whoever wins decides the pirate era. Will it be a pirate era of liberation or a pirate era of anarchy and chaos? On the Marshall D. Preach channel, we've previously discussed everything we believe will be in Laugh Tale in our Laugh Tale mega theory. You see, we believe the One Piece is, as crazy as it sounds, Luffy himself. And part of this reason is because we believe there will be a prophetic statue of Joyboy at Laugh Tale, or maybe even a statue of a monkey with a straw hat representing Luffy himself, just like there's a monkey with a straw hat on the giant bell of Shandora. Luffy has this famous X scar on his chest, symbolizing Luffy, the treasure of the One Piece. You know, X marks the spot, right? So when it comes to Luffy having a Statue of Liberty in his honor, I absolutely love this idea. I never thought about the statue symbolizing this, but it fits so perfectly with Luffy's adoration of giant statues, and as Evil explained, as Luffy being the warrior of liberation. Thanks for having me on. I really love this Pirate Kingdom theory for both Luffy and Blackbeard's dreams, and just like Roger, I can't wait to see Joyboy Zero when Luffy ultimately does achieve his ambitious dream.
I expect Roger to have found a giant statue of Luffy / Nika when he made it to Laugh Tale, and this was again definitive proof that there was an ancient kingdom that was a pirate country. And I think this is even gonna relate to Planet of the Apes. In that movie, the world was overran by monkeys and apes, but when the researchers were traveling, they found something to be the Statue of Liberty, and this was definitive proof that there was a civilization that was wiped out in the past. I feel like this is strikingly similar to the ancient kingdom. There's gonna be some concrete evidence to support the idea the country did exist, and having a Statue of Liberty, or I mean Statue of Liberation, that's gonna be the best piece of evidence. Every pirate country needs its Statue of Liberty, every pirate country needs its pirate king. Now when Luffy gets to Laugh Tale, he's gonna see the One Piece, and it's gonna be a statue of Nika, but it's gonna look like Luffy. So in the eyes of Luffy, when he looks at the One Piece and he looks at the statue, he's excited and he's happy because it's a statue of himself in his eyes, but when Robin looks at it, she's gonna be looking at a statue of Nika and Joyboy. Now I always figured that Luffy and Roger really like the One Piece because it connects to their true dream. Now if the One Piece was a Statue of Liberty, that would be one of the best things that could complement your true dream. That's why Roger was excited to see the Statue of Liberation. He wanted to make his own pirate country, and I suspect it even had details about Joyboy and Nika, kind of like how Kiros' statue had details about himself. You also have statues of the Straw Hats in real life, and funnily enough, there's one for Luffy. If the One Piece is indeed a statue of Luffy, that would mean that the One Piece exists in real life, and I think this would make sense if it was true because Luffy's statue is located in Japan, meaning that the real life One Piece is located in the home of Oda. And by the way, the real life Luffy statue is in the same exact pose as the Statue of Liberty. Not only that, but Luffy's straw hat, which looks like the sun, is reminiscent of the sun crown that the Statue of Liberty wears, which proves that the One Piece is the Statue of Liberation, a statue that looks exactly like Luffy and Nika. Moving on, I think it would be thematic of Oda to make the statue also look like Nika and Joyboy. That's why in chapter 1044, Oda placed Luffy in the same exact pose as Nika. Luffy will find the statue of Nika, be extremely happy, and prove that the pirate country once existed. Luffy will take the One Piece, make it his country's Statue of Liberty, thus fulfilling the will of Joyboy. And when you look at the Statue of Liberty in real life, you notice that it's holding a torch. So by Luffy inheriting the will of Nika and Joyboy and having this same statue, you can quite literally say that Joyboy passed on the torch. This torch is known as a dream, this torch is known as a will, and this will was to be the pirate king of a pirate country. When Luffy manages to accomplish it, this is going to be the second time that Danan has reacted to it. And Sabo's dream of making a book about the world will be in the library that Robin runs in the pirate country. Now this is just a fun fact, but the author of One Piece, Oda, is best friends with the author of Naruto, Kishimoto. Years ago when the Naruto manga ended, Kishimoto drew the Straw Hat Jolly Roger. The placement of that shoutout though is on the mountain containing the face of the main character, Naruto. This mountain has sculptures of the Hokage, which are basically the presidents of the ninja village. So when you think about Naruto and you think about Luffy, it's very interesting how Naruto wanted to be the Hokage and Luffy wanted to be the pirate king. But in order for Naruto to become the Hokage, he had to defeat the strongest enemy, kind of like how Luffy's gonna have to. And when Naruto became Hokage, they put his face on a mountain just like North America's Mount Rushmore, a mountain containing a few presidents of the United States. Seeing how Oda and Kishimoto are best friends, wouldn't it make sense if Luffy had his own physical representation too? Instead of Luffy being on America's Mount Rushmore, Luffy will be on America's Statue of Liberty, because Luffy is the warrior of liberation and every warrior of liberation deserves their own Statue of Liberty. I highly suspect that Joyboy once ran a free country, a pirate country, and the will for that country lives on, just like how the will of Ohara lives on as mentioned during the Egghead Island arc, which also mentions the ancient kingdom on numerous occasions. This undying flame, this undying will is what Luffy inherited. That free country did exist once in the past, but this freedom must have threatened Imu. Imu was so jealous of Joyboy's power and glory to the point he had to extinguish the light. One thing Imu didn't take into account is dreams never die. That dream of a free country, a pirate country with its very own pirate king still lives on. Pirate King Goldie Roger motivated an entire generation of people, an entire generation of pirates, because Roger knew he would cause the next pirate king to be inspired and create that country of freedom. And the ultimate inheritor of the will, the symbol of liberty, Joyboy, the future Statue of Liberty, is none other than Monkey D. Luffy. Creating a pirate country is Luffy's true dream.